Good evening, afternoon, morning, wherever you are, free enterprise fans, and welcome to tonight's race between Rexx Raul and xPankraz. I am Baka Shinobi, joined by Lady Ed 19. How are you doing this evening, Lady Ed?
Baka, I am doing very well. How are you?
Hi, I'm doing great. I'm excited for this race as it's a 1-2 match, which means unfortunately the loser of this is going to be eliminated from bracket. So I am both these runners are going to be hungry for advancement. I am curious to what gambles they're willing to make for it.
Yeah, both runners, being one and two, and that's just the unfortunate nature, the casualty of this tournament is that, don't let their records fool you. Both very talented, very experienced racers, both kind of ran into some unfortunate luck, RNG, if you will. Pankraz, his race against Xenocat, his last race, he lost by 6 minutes. He lost due to the fact that Xenocat did not go to the moon, where Pankraz decided to, pretty much almost full clear moon. So, it's just a difference of one racer choosing to go a different route. Didn't mean either one is necessarily better than the other in this case. It's just, like I said, you know, um, RNG can get the better of you, and yeah, it could very well be the same case tonight, where both runners execute very well. Just one chooses to go somewhere, the other one doesn't.
This random gives a lot and will take a fair bit. It seems to be giving us a Porum start, which I'm sure both our runners are terribly excited for, as Porum has the offensive capability of Wet Spoon. And not even the good spoon that we have for Eddie.
So what you're saying is we should have a second Porum then.
Exactly. Go and condense the suffering, prime it, and just what happens when the runners finally get breakthrough some actual damage. So when you're in a situation, who are you desperately praying for to be your partner and desperately praying not to be your partner?
Well, you certainly don't want to see an Eddie earlier with matched up with this Porum. Ideally, I think you'd like to see, a Sid, someone with a high HP pool, someone that can do damage. Maybe if you're going to go mid-tier, early on, maybe a Kane. DKC is fine, although early on that's still kind of scary, even with a black sword start. This is Sineki, so all your starting characters are going to have gear anywhere between a tier 1 and a tier 3. So I don't know that there's any real right choice necessarily.
Definitely you can agree with that. Sid would be a very helpful starter, as you mentioned, high of HP and can use a variety of weapons. And that Dwarf Axe that is in the starting kit we have. Dwarf starter kit gives us crystal rings, that would be a bit too much. 10 rune rings, which I about as much as crystal rings because they're still very, very helpful items. And a Dwarf Axe, as that Dwarf Axe Sid can use it, will give -5 agility. Might have to use some menu to make use of it if you start with Sid. On the other hand, Edward, I agree, very hard to make use of early on. You kind of need a dancing dagger for him to go and to show any appreciable damage, which is one advantage Edward has over Porum, because best weapon Porum can use is a uh, power staff.
Okay, and we're off. Well, how about a Rosa as a second character? A Golbez. Oh, and a Luca key.
Well, Rosa can go and use about the same weapon as Porum, so we don't really have an advantage there. She does have a bit better stats. She does have the aim command, very helpful. Guaranteed to hit enemies with her bow and arrow if she's equipped with it. So that's at least a plus, but I think we're going to be running around looting, trying to find any weapon.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I could see both runners deciding to loot heavily early on, just knowing the low power of this party. I mean, it's certainly if um, you know either of the characters don't start with a bow to back row glitch them. As you see, Pankraz deciding to go right to Ebelin, and Rexx Raul going to Watery Pass. So I think both are very viable options for early game looting.
Yes, one of the big things that we have turned on is T Wildish, which goes and weights the loot of different locations based on, well, how reasonable it is to go in there and how many trapped encounters there are. Evelyn Castle has a lot of trapped encounters in there, so better tier loot, but you're going to have to be doing a lot of resetting, while Watery Pass has pretty good stuff and no trapped encounters, but you do kind of get stuck in there if you walk all the way out. So you have to go and see how much time you're willing to walk in and how far you're willing to just say, all right, we're done here and walking out.
Yeah, it's the same. Yeah, it's the same kind of thing with Evelyn. You know, Pankraz found the first of the 3 trap chests. I think picks up a crystal ring there. So it kind of comes down to a point, you know, at least for me as a racer, picks up a moon veil, to where you say, okay, how much is enough for me to want to, you know, walk out with the time investment I've spent, knowing there could be 2 other trap chests, or do you walk out and save and come back in, knowing that you've kind of full cleared that top half?
Yep, and both our runners going and checking the starter equipment, seeing that Rosa starts with a staff and Forum starts with a cure staff. So Pankraz saving and going back in to check for some more loot, while Rexx looks to be kind of happy with some of the stuff he has as he is going to Mount Hobbs, but has gone and thrown, I believe, a... Oh, excuse me, I was mistaken. I thought Rexx had found the power shirt, but Pankraz may have found the power shirt.
And we see Pankraz picks up, I think, that second monster chest right before picks up a strength ring, so he's going to be going back in there. Meanwhile, Rexx has found a DKC, and there's our bonus round in that Mist Dragon at Hobbs.
The bonus round is nice to go and have, as when you defeat D-Mist, you will be able to go back to Mist Village and turn that in for an item. Definitely helpful early on, as just extra key items. You don't want to go and have to be hunting around in awkward locations like, say, the Giant of Babel, because D-Mist can be anywhere as long as they're not gaining the way to it.
Yeah, you see Rosa throwing out that that vampire, you know, for about 700 damage. So this is still going to take a little bit of time to get through this, but you know, certainly having that damage output, you know, is going to make a pretty good difference to help them clear through this. Pankraz, meanwhile, picks up a... I didn't know if they picked it up the first time, but has a Zeus Rage in their pocket. Could decide to burn both J items, you know, right at that start if they decide to go to Watery Pass and pick up that vampire, or just maybe happy with just what he's done and then just decide to, you know, go to his first check.
Yeah, Pankraz has gone and spent a lot of time looting. Just in the time that Pankraz has been looting, Rexx Raul looted that first room of Watery Pass and has defeated this D-Mist down at Hobbs, which gave him a DKC and an extra character. Is now Pankraz is here looking at shops as well, so Rexx is getting a bit more of an early start, but maybe Pankraz is going to be able to leverage that into a bit more acceleration later.
Yeah, there's no real, like I said, right or wrong answer when it comes to early game looting. I mean, it's T Wildish, so you're going to be finding, you know, significantly higher tier loot than you would, you know, if you have like a T Pro, which I know with our brackets flag set's going to have, but you know, you're hoping for that Evelyn to just kind of push towards that tier 5, tier 6 a little bit more than some of the other locations would be.
I agree, and Pankraz going and loading Rosa up with a power shirt, a crystal ring, a archer bow, and Artemis arrows. Artemis arrows are very good against dragons, but sadly D-Mist does not count as a dragon, so we're not going to get bonus damage from that. So I don't think we need bonus damage with that much damage from Rosa.
1100 or almost 1100 damage for, I think that is a base level Rosa. That yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah, that's the power of attack multipliers. That power shirt where you go and fawn it over it because it's plus 15 strength. Plus 15 is the most you can get on a single item. And that's a lot. That is about 2 attack multipliers, which can be massive. Those Artemis arrows, nice on dragons, also just really nice in general because they have the highest attack power of all the arrows. Archer bow, better accuracy, but Rosa's aim doesn't really require accuracy. It does give an additional 5 strength, which makes it even better. So Rosa is just stacking on damage multipliers now.
Yeah, absolutely. We see that both of our runners will be checking Antlion, so there's no Fade Antlion today. Um, Depending on who's here, Pankraz might be set up a little bit better to take this fight.
Those Artemis arrows are definitely going to be a big source of damage. This spot only has about 1,000 HP, so if Rosa does about that much, Dark Knight Cecil can go and clean up the kill like he did with that Demus, and we're just moving forward. And this is a CPU. That is not a terrible boss to find, as the HP is split in a 10 to 1 to 1 ratio between the main body and the two little orbs. So that 1,000 HP is split across all these enemies. Pankraz is probably going to be able to do a fair bit better just because that Rosa is going to go and do good damage with her bow.
Yeah, unfortunately, the Cecil does have a black sword, but he's not back rowed, and that CPO technically counts as back row right now because of the smaller orbs. So he's going to be doing reduced damage against him.
And we are seeing the ever so rare Dark Wave from Dark Knight Cecil, a J ability that you may not remember from the vanilla US version, as it is not included, as our board has included it. It takes some of Cecil's HP and deals attack damage to all of the enemies, which Pankraz used to clear those orbs, and gets the Rat Shell as their prize from the Antlion Cave, while Rexx is still almost done with this fight.
Yeah, that's great use of that Dark Wave there. Sometimes, and for good reason, you might be tempted to not want to kill off both those orbs because then that launches CPO into his Globe 199 script, which will pretty much just nuke two of your characters. But in that case, Pankraz knew, okay, I can take out the smaller orbs. I know I can do enough damage with my with that Rosa just to down the CPO before it becomes an issue.
Yes, it's a very heads-up play to know when you can just when you're close enough to be in striking distance at the end of that CPU fight, push through, skip dealing with extra orbs in that back row bit, because enemies in the back row also go and have half accuracy and half double evasion and double defense that your characters get as well. So nullifying that for non-long range characters is very helpful.
Yeah, we see Pankraz taking, some pretty good loot, routing, excuse me, deciding to fly back to Mist, check the waterfall cave for the guards, and then goes over to, Village to pick up the Earth Key item.
And that Earth Crystal is a very mighty key item, as that goes and opens up the Toria Treasury. We've talked about the Steve Wildish flag. Well, there is no location that is more lucrative than that Toria Treasury when you have an Earth Crystal.
Yeah, especially you get this early on. I think this is definitely a good, if you get the Earth Crystal late, which you see a lot in this flag set, you kind of fade the treasury, but you get this, under 10 minutes to go, or under 10 minutes in. I think it's perfect to do this now, and depending what you find, this might be all of your looting for the for the whole seed.
Agreed. You're probably going to see some interesting things. A Heroine Robe is a massive pickup, and a Stardust Rod. Well, no Black Mage's Zeus Gauntlet, however. Goodness gracious, this is
Protect Ring. Yeah, this treasury was stacked.
Definitely. So I've mentioned that plus 15 strength is most that you can get from a single stat. Heroine Rogue is plus 15 to strength, vitality, and agility. And every 16 agility, you get yet another attack multiplier. So that Heroine Robe might as well be plus 3 attack multipliers for Rosa. It is restricted only to Rosa, Iridia, and Porum, but you can go and have some very mighty characters using it.
Yeah, not to mention, you did point out the agility. You put Rosa in that middle slot, and it can kind of really help clear out a lot of these overworld bosses quickly, because you put her in the middle, make her faster than the enemy, and with her Heron Robe and the Artemis arrows on, she's gonna do quite a bit of work to the remaining bosses here.
And Pankraz is doing that, except doing it in a very cheeky manner. Pankraz has no one in his middle slot. In Free Enterprise, by default, the character in your middle slot is your agility anchor, which is used for a variety of things. Let's just say they determine the ATB calculation. If you have no one, they go to the next slot to go and determine it, which is the top slot Rosa's in. Rosa's not in the middle slot because, as I mentioned earlier, aim is automatically going to hit. However, if you put someone in the middle slot, they also gain an innate 20% accuracy bonus. And aim will overflow that accuracy bonus. So Pankraz is anchoring with Rosa, but not keeping her in the middle slot, so he can avoid the negative of that aim overflowing. That is very heads-up play by Pankraz.
Yeah, absolutely. That wasn't actually one that I was thinking of. That's even more heads up. As Rexx goes into Silvera, picks up a protect ring actually in one of the hidden chests, so that's a good find. Finds silk webs in Silvera, so that's certainly makes running into here, which is kind of an out of the way check, for runners, but finds his run validated.
Yeah, getting those silk webs are very important. You really like those silk webs. I'd love to have at least one for the Zeromus fight, as we can go and talk about it later, but slow is a very powerful effect, and that silk web applies the maximum application of slow, which can be very, very potent. And having those can also go and take a very difficult boss and make them much more manageable.
Yeah, absolutely. So, your Pankraz, I think I'm getting my answer here. Well, I was trying to think, do you go do ordeals first, or do you try to make a cheeky dive up to Zot? As I saw someone in chat mentioned earlier, Pankraz opting to go with Zot first. I don't think there's no real wrong play. I mean, you get some extra XP, you get Cecil online, and it's a boss check, it's a key item check. Maybe you pick up another overworld item. You don't have to go necessarily dive Zot right away.
I think a big driving factor for Pankraz, if I was going to guess, is that Pankraz wants to get Cecil online. He's got a power shirt, he's got a dwarf axe. Cecil's going to go and have better strength growth than Rosa, so Rosa's doing very good work right now, as we see, as these D-Lunars are facing the wrath of that quadruple damage from Artemis arrows. But she is going to fall off. Cecil's going to go and be able to start getting more and more powerful, and he has access to a lot more powerful weapons. Probably wants to start getting experience on Cecil as a paladin as soon as possible.
Yeah, it's a very good position to be in. You can still rely on Cecil as your damage dealer, but since you have two white mages, you can also then still keep the Heron robe and keep the arrows on Rosa, and then you can kind of rely on Forum, as your main white mage. So this party's very strong right now.
Oh yeah, and Pankraz just throwing the bag at Bahamut in this back attack spot, not letting up, just anything that can do damage, he is throwing to do damage right now, and Bahamut has just crumbled before that assortment of all different tools.
Yeah, absolutely. You mentioned that the D-Lunars, Pankraz able to just one-shot both of them with those that Artie equipment and the Heron robe. Rexx has to take a little bit more time to throw up some Cure 2s. So he's through his fight, and Pankraz is just about to get into, to get Cecil to turn to a paladin and see what our key item is here. Potential key item, I should say.
Agreed. Yeah, Pankraz is a very, very efficient player, going and taking the time to move around items in his menu while the crumble animation is happening, just going and picking up time wherever he can. He has gone through and checked that Demas, which Rexx still has not done, gone to that Toria Troji and just has been rewarded heavily for it, so he is just accelerating past Rexx. A lot on the back of the items that Pankraz has picked up that Rexx unfortunately lacked.
Yeah, and the longer you go on, without checking that key item, like after defeating Mist, it might be something that it's very easy for you to kind of forget. that you still have to go back and check to pick it up. So, hopefully Rexx, sometime after this fight, as long as he doesn't get, something that, I don't know what you would get, but something that will prevent you from wanting to check that. Hopefully he goes right to Mist after this and picks up that Earth Crystal.
Agreed. It's very easy to go and forget about Demist after Rexx went, defeated Demist, looted Hobbs, then cleared Antlion. Good, good use of time because you're still in the same area as Antlion. You don't want to go and fly across the world more than you have to. But it is an unfortunate risk that you are likely to go and forget about Demist the longer you go between fighting Demist, defeating Demist, and picking them up, as I have absolutely done the exact same thing.
I have absolutely been guilty of it too. So it's certainly speaking from experience. Pankraz, you see now leaving, walking out of Ordeals, and Rexx about to head into their fight. You did see Runner, both of them, save before coming in here because we do have Wyvern on the menu still. Certainly after taking a fight like they both did. Not a huge time investment, but it's certainly not something you want to walk in here in Battle Speed 1, run into a Wyvern, and then catch a Mega Nuke to the face.
Agreed. I'd like to say I'm bad at it, but I do it with such regularity. You'd think it was actually my profession as, I'm good at kicking those Mega Nukes to the face. Not so good at standing up afterwards, though.
Yeah, that tends to be an issue. Depending on the type of runner you are, me personally, I have no problem running into their battle speed 1, and probably, having hubris have me pay for it.
What's the worst thing I could run in here? I've gone taking of Golbez, I've taken Steam Val, Odin's off the table. I can't think of. Oh, right, you're the thing that's gonna get. And now, yep, that is the Wyvern Anthem for those who are curious. But Pankraz is choosing to go to that Zot check before going and checking Baron in. Somewhat interesting play on my side, just because Baron in is a character check as well, but this is 2 character checks, and Pankraz is definitely not hurting for anything. He will be dropped outside of Baron afterwards, so maybe he's choosing to route Baron in at that point.
Yeah, that was my thought as well. Someone like Pankraz, thinks about routing and what's the most efficient. It is 2 boss checks at Baron. You could get a different, Achillean that could lead you somewhere else, but this also gives us a chance to pick up a foo or pick up an edge behind, we'll say kind of a gated character spot.
Yes, these gated character checks are very valuable. As you mentioned, that Fisuya is a very big acceleration for any person who gets them, and if you get them much before your opponent, you have a distinct advantage.
Well, that is an Ogopogo, the first boss of Zot. It's going to take a little bit to kind of chew through this, but even Cecil, though, putting out about 1,000 damage, Rosa putting out 1,000 damage. The issue is just going to be keeping everyone topped off with those big waves, but otherwise, I think, for the most part, going to be pretty much fine.
Yep, so it looks like Pankraz has chewed through their first stack of Artemis arrows, switching over to Mute arrows, so that is you always feel... I am so hesitant to use my Artemis arrows unless it's just a dragon-type enemy, because they're so rare and they're so powerful. Oh. And Pankraz not... No, okay. Pankraz is getting the updated damage, it just isn't updating and pretending that he ran out of arrows.
Okay. I was wondering, I'm like, 500 to 600 punches don't seem quite right. But does get through that Ogopogo. Rexx, meanwhile, going to be getting information that Pankraz doesn't have, going to be checking that Kaipo bed. Unfortunately, I don't know if it kind of glitched out there. I wasn't able to catch who was in the bed there.
I unfortunately also missed that on my side. We'll have to go and see if... Okay,
our tracker is saying Kaipo bed is Rydia.
Ooh.
So not one that is an objective, but one that, Rexx may think if he gets that Sand Ruby, could pick up later for a possible anchor.
Yep, and we find that Young, or aka the karate fight, is the second fight of Dwarf Castle, while Edge is the first character in Zot, with the second character being fit. Goodness gracious, we're getting both gated checked only characters. Pankraz has picked up a rather serious bounty from this Tower of Zot.
Yeah, this is pretty ridiculous to see. We don't have. Well, okay, I missed the Murasami pickup. I said I don't know if we have much in the way for Edge to pick up to use, but has a black belt, has a strength, can use those elemental claws, has a Stardust Rod for Fu. I mean, really, all this party is lacking is an anchor at this point, which if we find a curse ring, certainly solves that. Or I mentioned, you pick up that Rydia if you happen to find the Sand Ruby.
Yeah, or the Sid in Baron Inn. Sid guarded by Rubicon, so that's a thing. Pankraz getting, well, if Pankraz wants experience on his Cecil, he's going to go and have plenty of opportunities to get it, as this is the Alt Gauntlet. Instead of the 6 fights that are normally attacking Kabul, we get 5 random encounters from the general vicinity of the check. And, well, it's good experience, and 5 slow fights.
Yeah, if you're a runner doing this, you're not at all phased by this. One, because we have that Fu, and 2, because we know that Rexx is going to have to do the same thing, or the runner you're going up is going to have to do the same thing. So, and like you said, does pick up experience for this, which is perfect for that Cecil. This is going to go pretty quick.
Yeah, I do agree with that. Fusoya, the price of admission is just, yep, okay, I'm going to go and have to take a few fights. Pankraz showing off his wonderful menu ability to go, and as Fusoya is going and casting the viruses, picking up all sorts of moving around their inventory and just cleaning everything up. This fight is the fight you don't want to see when you don't go and have a Black Mage or any real form of elemental damage, because they don't take any damage from physicals. Ooh. And Rexx is finding the logical way underground, perhaps, as we get a hook from Baron Inn with that Sid.
Yeah, gets a hook. I would still have to think they're going to dive that Zot first. At least, knowing what we know, we hope they do. As Pankraz, I believe, is going to be finished up with this Alt Gauntlet now.
Yeah, I do believe this is the 5th fight for Pankraz, so they are going to go and be finishing off right now. And we'll get to see what they get for completing this Alt Gauntlet.
Yeah, I could still pick up a Magma Key. Odds are, pretty low, but it could certainly happen. But yeah, Pankraz is in a pretty good position here to take on those 2, Baron spots. And to get their hook.
Yeah, oh my god. Power of Zot, giving 0 actual key item progression or objectives. However, if you want a one-stop shop for complete and utter decimation of a seed, you will go and be very pleased with this Earth Crystal.
No, I am not at all unhappy with the time invested to pick up the amount of power that we've picked up from this. You have to do this. It's gonna save you so much time in the long run to do this now, rather than try to be tricky and try to say I'll fade it. It's just gonna be such a power boost to your team to get all of just this gear, these 2 characters. This seed is just getting ridiculous at this point.
I feel bad for the enemies at this point. They have to go against a Fusoya, an Xcal, Power Shirt, Zeus Gauntlet, Cecil, and an Edge who currently has a Murasame and might be picking up more. And the Rosa, who's rocking Artemis arrows and Heroine robe, and just, oh my goodness, these poor enemies.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, I don't know what they could face down that hook route that's going to cause them, a lot of so much grief. As we see, Pankraz does drop that Porom for that Sid, so very much intending to use Sid as this anchor now. With that Jorfax giving -5 to agility, I believe that puts him down to 4 agility. He starts at 9, if I have that right.
I do believe you're correct on that front. And Pankraz is going to the Mist Cave. Looks like Pankraz is going to be doing a little bit of a boss tour until Fusoya learns. I don't think Fusoya has nuke yet, but I think we're going to be trying to change that.
Yeah, it's a good play to make. You can clear this spot out very quickly. Pretty much no matter who it is. See an evil wall, not an issue. It's under a minute time investment, maybe 30 seconds, and then you just get an instant upgrade to Fu and get 3 spells learned. So I don't dislike this play in the least.
I also agree. This is a very good way to just. I mean, you're already disgustingly powerful, but why settle for disgustingly powerful when you can go and be wretchedly disgustingly powerful?
Yeah, now choosing to go to Waterfall as well to take on what we now know is that Octomam there. So yeah, really hoping to get Fu online here with that nuke.
And meanwhile, Rexx has looted the treasury and is going upside, so is going to be rewarded with those 2 characters, provided Rexx is able to get through the 2 fights here, who I have a suspicion Rexx is going to be able to get through.
Yes, I would say he is going to get through that. I just happened to look away for 1 second and came back. I don't know if he obtained nuke from that fight, although Chad is pointing out that yes, they did get nuke, and our tracker confirms. So yeah, Fu's online. I think we're done taking fights. I think he's going to be rushing underground and getting to those 2 bosses as quickly as he can.
And while our runners are speeding along towards just absolutely disgusting amounts of power, let's take a moment to thank the people who are going and letting us see this absolute display of unbridled bounties for our runners. Thank you, Escorian, for being our restreamer, and Mechalink for being our tracker, as without them we wouldn't have a show. And thank you, Lady19, for joining me on commentary.
Yeah, absolutely. Without our restream team, we wouldn't have a race. And certainly give your love and appreciation to the 2 racers, Pankraz and Rexx Raul, who are agreed to be restreamed for this, and provide you all with what is turning out to be a very entertaining race.
Yeah, this race doesn't seem to want to go and ever slow down. It's just, I'm sorry, you have an accelerator pedal? Let's go and throw some more bricks on there. Here's an X scale, here's a Fusoya, here's an edge, here's a pass, so that, once you go and get all the parts you need for Go Mode, you can just go straight to Zeromus.
Yeah, Pankraz going to be doing some mass selling to check out what's in the Ebelin shop, hopefully looking for sirens, but pretty much selling the farm. Finds Bacchus, finds coffins, decides to buy 5 each. So they're set up pretty well. If I'm a runner in there, the power of I'll take power overwhelming anytime over having to gut my way out through a seed. In a 1v1 or whatever. I know the other runner has the same, access to the same, so it's just a question of who can get through faster. But this just takes so much pressure off of me, I feel, rather than have to try to gut it out, with a decidedly less powerful team. Let's put it that way.
Oh yeah, the less powerful teams you can feel good about sometimes if you think your opponent isn't going to be able to go and make as good use of them. But these runners, you're usually not relying on the other person having a hard time. You're usually relying on just squeezing out whatever advantages you can. And we see a Tella. Interesting choice. Do you take him to be an anchor instead of Sid, or do you continue onwards without the old man?
I think I would continue. That's a good question because you could try to rely on Tell a little bit if you want to be a source of Berserk and Blank, and in the hopes of maybe just having access to that. Pankraz just choosing immediately just to ditch him and to keep Sid, which I think most people would end up probably doing. It's less management of your characters, and you don't have to try to rely on a curse ring to bring Tella's agility down. You have kind of your perfect agility anchor at this point.
I agree. I think Tella's main advantage is the fact that even though he is around 8 agility, he can much more easily kill himself off with a self-cast virus because we have done ordeals. But Sid is at that very lovely 4 agility, and yeah, I don't think you really worry too much about Sid. I mean, even if Sid gains a few levels here and there, he's still going to be pretty slow unless you get him, leave him alive for a moon fight and gain 10 levels.
Yeah, and if you pick up a curse ring, well, then that's just even better because then you can decide to throw some levels on him and boost his HP pull up. Although I don't know that's really going to be necessary with the way the power of this team is, but it's an option.
I do believe the word necessary is left. It's just gone on completely on vacation when you go and get Visoya, Excalibur, Cecil, Rosa, and you have new country for your Visoya. We're just living in the land of excess at this point. We're going to throw everything in the microwave and see how it tastes, and maybe go and take a few nibbles out of something.
Yeah, and REP to any of those hoping for a rude hook route, as Elements is the first spot, and believe it or not, the same as most bosses, they go down very quickly to a nuke. Pankraz does not look like they're going to be saving, which I certainly don't blame them. Just going to be going right into this Dark Elf fight, which is very free. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, great thing. Dark Elf is weak to holy damage, and I believe 3 guesses as to what type of damage Excalibur does, and the first 2 don't count.
Weak to holy, also weak to nuke, depending on if they want to, could on his second form decide to use weak on Dark Elves, but I have a feeling that he just won't bother. He'll just let Cecil just carry the team and just Holy Sword go burr.
Though Possible Reference in chat, bad Cecil, nope, not all quad 9s. I agree. Cecil is slacking with that 9,898 damage swing. Really should have stepped it up to go and, consistently overkill the Dark Elf in 2 swings.
Well, there was a quad 9 there, so I think he heard and responded in kind.
Cecil heard the accusation of her low roll, and it's like, what? Fine, I can't slack off at all? Dragon, you're gonna go and take my ire for that one.
Yeah, but Pankraz just proving, or showing just the power of that Zot check first before the Baron, because Rexx has access to Edge and food now, but Pankraz is just able to blitz his way through those Baron checks, and Rexx unfortunately take a little bit more time. So they're Pankraz right now. I would say is in the driver's seat right now. Although I don't know, I always like to say it's still a little early, depending on how Pankraz routes the rest of this.
I agree. There's a lot of seed left. We have 0 objectives complete. We might be getting underground in just over 35 minutes with Pankraz. Anno Hoxie, definitely a blazing pace, but Pankraz has been beaten before. As you mentioned, Pankraz went to the moon, that turned out to be nothing. Worst can happen, Pankraz can stay on Earth and his opponent goes to the moon. Not necessarily going to go and be guaranteed just because he's making the checks more efficiently now. Things can just easily swing the other way.
Yeah, and Pankraz deciding to go for Keyless Tower here. Not a popular decision for a lot of runners, but it doesn't make it a bad play. Just people I think like to have that key in hand so they can kind of take out that top and take out the cannon room at the same time. If you find that key later, then it feels kind of like kind of a wasted opportunity, because then you're making 2 trips down here. But I don't dislike the play at the same time.
I agree. It is a slower. There are faster checks available. You can walk down that Fame Arch and find an item, but we have some form of guard. It could be one of our objectives, or it could be a different guard. We have 2 sprites that look the same when you have just one of them. The Baron guards and the Kaipo guards. Whichever one this is, they're still both weak to Coffin, so we're going to find out very quickly if this is an objective or just very convenient. And this is an objective.
This is an objective, yeah. And I missed this when chat was talking about this, but FF4FE did happen to peep the tower boss on their way down after defeating the ruby spot. So knew the guards were here. So this was calculated. They knew that there was going to be a potential for an objective here, and it pays off for them in that 50-50 check.
Oh, and it pays off in more ways than one. The Darkness Crystal as well. That is a very nice find. But that is objective number 4 complete, if I'm not mistaken, as Rexx Raul is choosing not to take the Octoman fight at the waterfall, and instead choosing just to launch their hovercraft.
Yeah. Rexx could decide to maybe take a trap chest on his way down, maybe take 2 to maybe just get some levels, although it seems kind of superfluous, to be honest, just on the power of this team. And it'd be very interesting to see where FF4FE is going to go next. He decided to go down Moon his last race. Didn't pay out, but here, I think has enough power to, if they want to, decide to go to Moon now. Just be interesting to see where they decide to go.
Yeah, I am very curious. I think Dwarf Castle is a good check because there's a character and we have a character objective. Looks like FF4FE is going straight there, so I, for one, definitely agree with this. Yang is an objective. You are going to find him somewhere in the seed. If you can get him here in Dwarf Castle, that's great. If not, another key item check might be a Legend Sword, might be a Pink Tail, might be a Twin Harp. You've got 3 different key items that will go and finish off an objective, because we're halfway on both objectives 2 and 3.
Does find the other half of the guards, the Kaipo version in this case, for the first boss in Dwarf Castle.
Well, I believe we're going to see more coffins getting used as another boss you can go and use them on.
Yeah, probably will be using a coffin on the officer. Maybe going to prove me completely wrong, although decides to use the Quake to take out the soldiers. We'll use the coffin to take out the officer. That way, he guarantees he gets XP from all 4, and it's a very quick and efficient way to get through it.
Yeah, that is, 20,000 experience is nothing to sneeze at.
Yeah, that's a spot where I might think of, doing a coffin on the officer, doing the life glitch, and then, using the Quake to mop up the rest, but that's just extra time. Well, we have the Young, just in the wrong spot, not exactly where we want them.
Today's role of Betrayer is being played by the Monk instead of the Dragoon, who has currently not appeared in this seed. Not even waiting for the kick into the out script, just dropping Yang down the hole so he can go and get have the expedited trip to the Sylph's bed.
Yeah, it's another one of these spots where, as a runner, if you, I don't want to say maybe you're kind of newer, or you just don't, may not put it together, but, FF4FE knows the power of his team, knows he can just overwhelm Yang, or Karate, I should say. Other racers, if they're newer, may think, well, I know the out script, I'll just wait on that. But sometimes, as we saw with CPU, it's just better just to go power overwhelming rather than, kind of wait for the script.
Yeah, Oh my goodness. We get a Legend Sword. That is objective number 2, ready for completion, which would give us a second Excalibur. You can still find a second Cecil, but you know, that's just a nice thing to go and have. Might go and stop in that shop, see if there's anything that Pankraz really wants to purchase, and then move on along.
Yeah, it does pick up a ninja sword to complement that Murasame for edge. So his edge is looking pretty good at this point.
Yeah, I mean, those ninja swords are very nice. They give +5 strength and are the third highest attack power behind the Masamune and the Murasame. Murasame can actually be beaten by ninja swords because Murasame gives -5 agility.
Yeah, Pankraz is going to be turning in that Legend Sword, that Adamant, going to be lighting up that objective number 2. Meanwhile, Rexx Raul does get to this Elements fight, that first spot. In Babel, I have to imagine they'll be going right to the second fight as well without saving.
That second fight is in very unique shade of free, and seeing Moon Veils, Life Staffs, a number of very nice items in the shop, and looks to be picking up a Life Staff while Pankraz is finishing the 4, completes objective number 2, and gets a second Excalibur.
I also want to point out how funny that is. It makes me laugh the way the game does weaknesses. Mylon Z, if you just fight regular Mylon Z, will take no damage from Quake. Here in his Elements form, does take damage to Quake. So I always get a kick out of that.
Yes, the Elements, the vanilla form of Mylon Z is a flying type enemy to go and specifically prevent that Quake from working. But flying type enemies take quadruple damage from arrows and spears, so secondary weakness for him. So to avoid that, they go and make this Elements phase not flying, and then he can be dropped down holes.
Yeah, and we see our secondary form of Underground and that Magma Key and the Fame March freebie, deciding to skip all of the chests on the way there, finds our Sirens, decides to sell that Excal, doesn't even want to keep it as a dart for Edge. So looks like they're going to be going just straight Zerker strats with Edge from here on out.
8 Sirens will definitely go and do a lot for you this team. You don't need a lot of experience to go and get Rosa, Edge, and this Cecil up to Z-ready levels. And Pankraz looking at those enemies and deciding, yep, those are enemies, all right. I'm going to leave them there.
With Dr. Luke and Mom Bomb, yeah, maybe another time come back to. Meanwhile, Rexx Raul, a little under 44 minutes, does make it through that Dark Elf fight, did pick up the nuke from their fight with them. So, the rest of their seed is certainly going to be getting sped up. Not too far behind Pankraz, to be honest. Depends on how they want to route. If they decide not to go to, I was going to say not go to Dwarf, but we know that, there's a couple checks there. I don't know. I still feel like they're not far behind.
Rexx isn't doing poorly. It's just Pankraz has been brutally efficient in a lot of his checks. Rexx going in, unfortunately, following the same path that Pankraz did, so not going to be able to potentially pick up time if there's a cheeky tower key hidden somewhere, but is going to be rewarded with their with objective number 4 and that darkness crystal.
Yeah, Pankraz, meanwhile, deciding to go for that Luca, maybe hoping to pick up Pink Tail from this. Really is 2 key items away from Go mode at this point.
Yeah, it could. I mean, we haven't seen the Moon character. It could be Yang up there, so it could just be 1 key item away as well.
Yeah, if you pick up the Pink Tail here, you go down the Moon and pick up that character, that's it. We could have a Go mode in, about a little under 55 minutes, which would just be insane to see.
It is blazing fast Go mode. Alternatively, if we get the Twin Harp here, Twin Harp could gate the Pink Tail in some fashion, which would really go and limit options, as you would be required to do that Twin Harp to get up to 4 or 5 objectives. Not to mention in this Luca cave, you can go and see the key item before you have to fight the boss. Very helpful for deciding if you really want to go and keep this item, or if it's a crystal sword, you might be tempted to keep it as well, though I don't know if Pankraz would succumb to that temptation.
Yeah, I think given the overwhelming power of his team and the equipment he has, I don't imagine he would keep a crystal sword or even an Avenger. It's going to have to be a key item, a Baron key, a Tower key, or how about required music?
That's an item I would definitely want to keep. Now, things I'm looking to not see, Gold as a Wyvern. Also, Leviathan, because he's shockingly rude in this spot.
Yeah, this spot has very high magic attack here. So, yeah, you do not want to see anything that has a high magic. Antline will be completely fine here.
Yep. Pankraz going and using one of those 5 Bacchus wines that they picked up. You would think that I would be guilty of going and saying, do I want to use a Bacchus wine here? Pankraz like, speed, Bacchus wine, go. Just swing the X-Scale side to side and see how much you can go and really chunk the Antlion. 3,500 points of damage from the Cecil, who's not even 2,000 HP.
Yeah, shrugging off those counters does, the chip in Rosa with some aim damage, which doesn't trigger a counter. And oh, by the way, guess what? Another nuke, which, again, just melts everything in its path.
That Antlion is just roasted and toasted. While Rexx is going and leaving, Lower Babel has completed the objective number 4, the Baron Guards fight, has their Darkness Crystal, going and catching up to some of the ground that Pankraz has already burned through, but Pankraz is head Dwarf Castle, checking the Feymarch chest, and now this Luca cave almost. Rexx may need to go and make a play. I was going to say Rexx may need to make a play of going to the Darkness early, but Dwarf has given the Legend Sword, and Luca Cave has given the Twin Harp. Rexx would need to go and bypass something on Pankraz. It's still possible. After Rexx goes and does, if Rexx does the 2 checks Pankraz has, goes to the moon and goes at a different spot than Pankraz, he can easily go and snipe a Pink Tail. But Pankraz definitely has a very sizable advantage over Rexx at the moment.
Yeah, and even as our trackers pointed out, the only thing he could really bypass is Feymarch, and even then, that's not, it's not really the right play because you're getting a guaranteed key item out of it. Even if you just exit the second you get out of there, you could see them fading Luca, but we know that's a required key item. So you just have to hope that music is just it just gives you an objective and does not give you a Pink Tail or a lead key item at this point. But the chances of that happening between music, between Sheila turn in, Rat Tail, I don't know if they turn that in.
Rat Tail has been turned in by Pankraz. That is the past.
That's right. So yeah, the chances that either one of these two will be nothing is pretty low.
I mean, the main hope for Rexx is, okay, Masamune, fine, I'll walk it out. I'll go and take Edge's ultimate weapon.
Yeah, Masamune and a Murasame, although, like you mentioned, could opt to take the Ninja Sword, instead of the Murasame and not deal the nerf to stats, but very clearly going to be taking the next logical route and going to be turning in that music, which is great for us and great for all of you.
Yep, that is going to go and be a nice little treat for all the viewers and a nice treat for Pankraz in the form of objective number 1, while Rexx is going to be able to go and complete objective number 2 in the form of being able to forge that Legend Sword into the Excalibur. Pankraz is certainly demonstrating why he is a very scary player. He is very efficient in all of his actions, going in, maximizing his battle time to rearrange his inventory so he can just quickly sell items when he gets to a shop, going and just taking slightly more efficient plays than Rexx in some fights as well, where Rexx tried to go and stone the officers fight in Dwarf Castle, which unfortunately missed for Rexx, while Pankraz decided to go for the more safe and secure Quake.
Yeah, it's those little things that have added up over this run. And certainly if you watch Pankraz, that's what he kills you on, is efficiency. The way you beat him, as we saw with with his last races, you have to do a play that he doesn't, and that's how you beat him. If you're hoping to beat him strictly on efficiency, that's a hard sell. That's a hard race to win.
Yeah, Pankraz lost his race against Xenocat because Pankraz went to the moon and Xenocat made a gamble and stayed on Earth, which paid off for them. And Pankraz was 6 minutes behind Xenocat. That is, for clearing the entire moon over your opponent, that is a significant amount of efficiency. Also, buy it for me. And that was the very nice Spekios theme from Chrono Trigger.
And it's a very nice rendition. Unfortunately, we don't get to listen to it for longer. Takes out those dolls with the Quake, gets a reward with the Tiara. I do happen to get a kick out of the menuing with the sound beats. That's always entertaining to see when runners do that.
Just dancing along to the music, as that's probably the most calm Pankraz is going to be for a bit, as he is now one objective away from Go mode. He is either a Pinktail or a Yang pickup from Go mode. He's done everything on Earth except for the two Fame bosses. And I think Pankraz is probably going to be checking that Moon character now.
Yeah, that's absolutely the right play to make. It's an easy spot to look. Pankraz also going to be looking at that Kaipo bed, which someone might almost an hour into this kind of forget to check if they haven't already. Sees it's Iridia, so now knows if they get a Sand Ruby that not to bother coming back here. It's not something that they need, that they don't have to route awkwardly out of the way later. If, say, for some reason they have to go to the moon and pick up a Sand Ruby, they know they don't have to rush back here or think in the back of their mind, geez, is my character that I'm looking for on the moon or on Kaipo waiting for me, and I could have gotten them this whole time.
Yep, right now, we technically have a 50-50 shot of, maybe not technically 50-50. We can go and have other math thrown in based on duplicates. But we have 4 spots remaining for characters. We have the Baron Key, the Package, the Lunar Dais, which we're probably going to be going to now, and the Giant, also gated by the Darkness Crystal. Pankraz could go and take a gamble and clear the Giant in the hopes of getting Yang, though I suspect he may go and just simply choose to clear the Moon and find one of the other 2 options of getting a character check, or just get the Pinktail itself.
Yeah, and this is the very interesting part when you need 1 key item remaining. It's where do you go as your first spot on the moon if this isn't Yang? Do you go top down because it's very quick? Do you go to Cape Bahamut again? Potentially very quick key item check, or do you go bottom up and say, okay, well, I have more chances statistically to get key items, but it's going to be a little bit of a longer dive to get there?
Yeah, bottom up is definitely the what I like to call the acceleration play. Takes a while to get there, but once you're going, you're getting 2 checks and 3 other checks in quick succession behind it. Very nice to go and get all of that out very efficiently. But the 1 check can be anywhere, and that is a scary thought to go and have.
Not going to be a Young here from this lunar dais is a Rosa. Do not imagine they are going to be taking them. So now, we just have to wonder what direction they're going to be going. Going to be hopping back out. I'm not sure. They just have to save and heal, or looks like they're going to be going to either Cave Bahamut or checking out the shop first.
I have a feeling Pankraz is... Here is my suspicion of Pankraz's thought. Pankraz knows he's a very efficient player. He's probably going to bet that he can beat Rexx on efficiency, and is going for all of the different places that Rexx can go and beat him by just sneaking around him. So Pankraz is going to go to this Cave Bahamut. It's probably going to clear top down first, and just try and deny Rexx any opportunity to go and sneak a check ahead of him.
Yeah, unfortunately for Rexx, even if this Cave Bahamut is a bust, and even if the next check is after a bust, they're still a little bit further behind. That they really need to, for FE March to be the payout. And even then, with those bosses there, that could be a tough task.
Yeah, they also still need to do the Luca Cave, which Pankraz has done with that, because that is where the Twin Harp is. So if they are able to find a Baron Key that leads to a Yang and a Pinktail in that FE March, that would definitely go and give them a good edge.
Yeah, as we see Pankraz running into that Kenazo at the Mura altar, I believe. Not going to be scary. Has him sufficiently damaged that those waves aren't going to be doing really too much damage.
Yeah. We're throwing out a new count with Soya going and changing rows. Cecil's already berserked up. I think we're going to be getting Edge berserked up as well, or just throwing out attacks. So also needing to shift rows, because I do not believe Edge has had any weaponry that allows him to be back road. And yes, that's significantly better than the 500 damage Edge did previously.
Yeah, and with that Cecil back road, putting out 4k damage, Edge almost putting out, about 2-3k, Rosa putting about 700. This wave, puts out about 500-600 damage. Does get the kamikaze off with Sid, and we get a very goofy animation out of that. I'm sorry, I've lost my train of thought after seeing that.
I've lost a bit of composure myself, because Kamikaze's unique animation, as you can see, it's a 4-part explosion that doesn't always align properly for some reason.
Yeah, actually, this is my second time seeing it. I think I saw it for the first time maybe a week ago watching one of these races, and kind of had to do a double take. I didn't really know what I was seeing, and this time confirmed with my own eyes that yes, that can happen.
Oh, Pankraz getting the pan from Kenazo. That's... If there's a place in the moon to see the pan, I like seeing it here, because it's easy to save scum out and check.
Yeah, not to mention that puts him at 10 key items now. So, even if it doesn't... I don't always like making the obvious puns, but if it doesn't pan out, then, at least has 10 key items to get that double XP if, deciding to take those moon bosses.
Yeah, and that 10 key item bonus being on for Pankraz really goes and puts Rexx into the frying pan.
Yeah, you wonder if, what do you think the play is? If this pan check ends up being nothing, is it cheeky to think, okay, I'll go do the 2 FE March bosses, or you figure, okay, where you're above ground, I'll just go back to the giant and just go back to the moon and just continue my moon boss checks.
I think you go back to the moon if you're Pankraz. I think my suspicion of Pankraz's play, that might not be the correct read, but I think Pankraz is doing the insurance plays, where anything that Rexx could do to sneak past him, he is going to just try and aggressively block. So Easy chain from the moon. He's going to go and check that. I don't think he'd go back and check a Baron key, but this pan is very quick and easy to go and check. You're going to get one key item here and get another key item for Sheila. About 2 or 3 minutes, and then he get back to clearing the underground.
Yeah, and it just brings up the point earlier, is that's how you have to kind of beat them. And there's a package, so there's another opportunity for character. I believe we're down to just package, Baron, and Giant at this point.
Yes. So this package, at worst, a 1 in 3 chance of being young, as I do believe we've seen 2 dupes so far, but not the third.
And Rexx, luckily, will be going through Luca. We'll be picking up that music. That's going to be still, time invested. It is an objective, but you really need Pankraz to bust out on, these checks. Does bust out on that character. I didn't see who it was, although chat points out it's Palom. So yeah, now we're down to a 50-50, although I don't see Pankraz diving the Giant for a 50-50 gamble.
I could see Pankraz doing Baron key if it gets here, because then Pankraz knows that he can just do Giant and finish it, and that will give him an incredible amount of experience. There's a Sand Ruby, so alright, I think Pankraz is resetting all the way back to the moon. Okay, needs to go resetting back to the underground. I guess Pankraz is choosing to go to Feymarch, so if Rexx chooses to fade Feymarch and go up to the moon, and Feymarch turns out to be a bust, that could be a place for Rexx to go and take the lead.
Oh, wow. Going to the Feymarch. Yeah, that's a very interesting play. You have to wonder if it's in the back of their mind that they full cleared moon and lost, last time, their last race. So thinking, well, maybe I'll just do this instead and don't get burned by that. Or doesn't play into their mindset at all. It's just one of these just things you think about when you're a racer and you think about your prior decisions, or if you're a commentator and you're watching them, what goes into their mindset. It'll be interesting to ask him this later.
Yeah, I would not be surprised if Pankraz was really remembering full clearing the moon and getting nothing for it, so it was being very conservative about Earth and leaving nothing behind.
Yeah, as we see Rexx going through, his sealed cave fight against Antlion. Pankraz will be taking on this Mom Bomb. It's going to punch a little hard. It's going to have a whole boatload of additional XP, but you get some blinks up, you get some berserks up, and at his levels and what he has, I think we'll be fine.
Yes. Also, this is, if I'm not mistaken, this is the location that sells Bacchus wines, correct?
We saw Bacchus wines, I believe so. So, yeah.
Oh, no, maybe that was Eblin Cave.
Oh, Eblin was Coffins and Bacchus, I believe.
Okay, so that would go, and that would be something I was mistaken. Very few spots to go and find those Bacchus wines, but very nice to go and get them. As we see, Rexx has gone and gotten their Twin Harp and is going to be warping out of the Luca Cave as much as possible. Luca Cave, one of the few places where you cannot use the exit spell, the other place being Lower Babel, Upper Babel, and Zot. And Mount Ordeals as well, actually, along with Baron. There's actually a number of places you can go and not use the exit spell. The developers really want to make sure that you didn't bypass any of the, shall we say, cutscene story triggers.
Yeah, does pick up a Baron key from that Mom Bomb spot. So you have to wonder, do they go for... Well, you don't have to wonder anything, because here's the exit, here's the Baron key check. I imagine we'll throw down a save outside of this if that Baron key is a bust. But now is pretty much banking all of it on this Baron key having something.
I wonder if Pankraz is going to take the line of just focusing recruiting Yang, because with this Baron key they now have all character recruitment slots open. They don't have to go and try and find a Pinktail. They can just simply go and do character checks and get Yang.
Yeah, I think, and Chad has kind of caught on to that too. You know, you're going to get a decent amount of experience going through Giant. You know that's an objective waiting for you, whereas Moon, it's it's still up in the air as to what you know you're going to be getting, if you're going to be getting anything. You know, knowing that Dr. Luque at that Leviathan spot could still gate a key item. I, you know, it feels like the right play to make once you know where your go mode is.
Yeah, Pankraz can go into a lot of guessing as to where the Pinktail can be, but he definitely has access to Yang. He has potentially slower access to Yang in the form of requiring Giant if Yang is not in Baron. But I can see the logic of I can guarantee where an objective is, and I forgot Golbez is here. That's not something you like to forget.
No, it's not Wyvern, but it is still rude. It's just a time-consuming check. Does get that Venom off, even with that Sid in the middle spot. Managed to get first, get the Venom off. Won't be phased by this hold gas. So then, once he runs through his Shadow Dragon script, will be able to regain control of his characters, throw up a couple Star Veils if he so chooses, and we'll get to this much quicker than if he had not thrown up the Venom.
Indeed, and we're getting a reprise of music, so I'll go back to being quiet. But we see Plague on the altar just being burned down by Fusoya.
Yep, we have Plague. Rexx does get through their fight. Well, there's go mode for Pankraz. There's our Yang. There's objective number 5 lit up for them. They're getting their crystal.
Now Pankraz gets to decide how low do you go on levels before you go to Zeromus. Don't think I would consider this team Zeromus ready, but Pankraz is a very aggressive player and may not want to go and worry at all about getting... Still hasn't seen the Pinktail, doesn't know where it could be. Could be on the moon if Rexx went there early, could definitely go and be a concern as that Luca key being early into that Twin Harp might make him a bit concerned.
Yeah, I would have to. I mean, again, this are me. I'm certainly not, nearly on the level of Pankraz. To try to get in his head, but I would still think, yeah, maybe he will consider it more of a, it's a time investment to, crack some eggs, but you figure, getting Z ready and not having to worry about, having to nerf the subsequent big bangs, or if you get your power, your levels high enough, your power overwhelming enough that you don't see a second big bang, and you don't have to worry about having to nerf them. You just take all the XP you need from however many sirens he chooses to do, getting his team situated so that he can one-shot these eggs with the Cecil, and then, be ready to go.
Yep, definitely agree with taking some Sirens. The Cecil's going to go and clear out any of these 2,000 damage to an egg. Meanwhile, Rexx has completed Twin Harp and is in Feymarch, so might be on the trail that Mamba might be going, and if they go and get this Baron Key and follow it, they'll also be in go mode, as they have completed that objective number 1 as well.
Yeah, they, would obviously will. What they need is to get the pink tail from Lugay at this point. If they get the pink tail from Lugay, it makes it more interesting. I have to be honest, I think xPankraz has this in the bag. But, if you get pink tail, it does make it interesting. And that's not to downplay how Rexx has played this. We spent a lot of time, kind of, I'll even use the word gushing over xPankraz's plays, but that just speaks to how efficient he is. That's not at all to downplay how Rexx has been playing, because Rexx has been playing very well. It's just there are a few runners that can be as efficient as xPankraz is.
Yeah, xPankraz has just made a lot of small efficiencies that have added up, and Rexx is on the correct path, is going to go and be getting this Bomb into Baron Key, but level 44 is a good level to have on this team. Power Couple can go and just take out Zeromus alone, add in Fusoya and a second edge. You've got a really good team. So this is xPankraz. xPankraz can still wipe on Zeromus, but it is going to be a very edge case with a runner of xPankraz's caliber. But we are going to Zeromus. We are going to go and see what this horrible eldritch horror from beyond the veil is, that I continually seem to forget what it looks like, because each time I'm sitting here wondering what boss are we fighting? I can't remember what it looks like. Do you have a better memory, Lady Ed?
Well, so I know what everyone wants the question to be, right? The question is, whose butt are we going to kick? Because as people may be aware, Zeromus does have a randomized sprite. We can't put Zeromus anywhere else. We've randomized the sprite instead. We have 526 sprites, I believe, at the moment to choose from. But the bigger question is going to be, is this butt we're going to kick going to be cute or not cute?
I'd really like cute for once. I have not had cute for a bit, I think. And after yesterday, I would like to not go and have my nightmares be scarred by certain smiles from celestial bodies.
I am not going to spoil any of the races I've seen yesterday, but I would tell you that the 2 races I caught were decidedly did not feature cute Zeromus sprites.
All right. Yes.
He starts out. Yeah, we have Marks from Kirby's Superstar, I believe. He starts out cute, turns a little, dare I say, murderous at the end, but I would allow it. I say it's cute.
He's not going to go and change murderous for us, so I will keep it. This is definitely on the cute side. Still, unpleasant, and we know that this will definitely be mean, as everything from Kirby has that unfortunate not so subtle eeriness or just quick change into terror, but for now it's not going to go and be haunting my dreams the way that a certain other sprite did.
Yes, as much as I want to talk all about that, and talk about the cuteness of this sprite versus the anyway, I have lost my track. I have lost my train of thought, but what I wanted to say was Rexx Raul decided to take this Dr. Lugay. xPankraz, meanwhile, set up very well for his Zeromus fight, takes a counter nuke from that Big Bang nerf to Sid, which is the perfect person to take. Rexx does get through that Dr. Lugay fight, so we'll be seeing very soon what they're going to be getting.
Yes, and if this is a pink tail, that is definitely huge for Rex. It's fortunately a glass aft. Not what Rex needed.
No, that's unfortunate. You know, I don't know what they could have done at this point. I mean, FF4FE is just set up so well for the Z fight. Looks like they're going to be looping in some nukes. Throws up a Star Veil on Fu. Does have their 2 Zerkers going. Still has that Rydia there. Well, actually, I guess Rydia's Zerked up too, so has 3 Zerkers going and a Fu with nuke.
Yeah, it looks like FF4FE is just throwing out a direct. Okay, it's reflecting a nuke. I didn't go and see that, so it's just pouring on the damage to Marksmith. Really going and trying to push these phases as fast as possible. May get the Big Bang into Medio combo, but
yeah, we saw the one shake, but looks like has pushed past into his second phase. So yeah, it's still a possibility that they could. Well, now there's a Big Bang, so I don't know if I have to imagine we're on second phase, right? So this may be the last Big Bang we see.
Very likely on second phase, but queuing up an elixir on Cecil. Black Hole would be annoying, but Cecil's got a lot of HP. Black Hole into direct nuke into Medio. Nope, we're getting straight Medio. Even if this takes out the other 2 party members, Cecil will probably be able to finish this job.
And we see timely dodges on both Rosa and Fu. So, and there's the crack, there's a bang, and that is it. Zeromus Marks goes down.
Yeah, FF4FE defeating Marksmith with an official time of 1 hour, 17 minutes, 19 seconds. GG's to FF4FE, and we will see if we can get him in here for an interview. Oh, that FF4FE just really did his best to cut out any avenue for Rexx to try and catch up anywhere. Getting the aggressive loot and just being able to rush through a lot of the early game. Rushing to the Toria Treasury to get a whole bunch of great items there. Rushing Zot to get the Soya and Edge well before Rexx unfortunately did. Just going and finding every way to accelerate the game as hard as possible. And they were rewarded for it. They had a very solid lead just because of all the small... They got power early. They're able to go and just keep going and keep laying on the power. And we are joined by FF4FE now. GG FF4FE, that was certainly a steed. How did you feel about that start?
Jeez, the start started scary. Whenever you do white mages with no power staff between them, I get a little bit worried. But then as soon as I got the power shirt and the arty arrows and the archer bow from wherever that archer bow was, I felt a lot more comfortable.
Yeah, you did 1,000 damage to that Demist, I believe, and I didn't know you could really do that much damage for the base level Rosa, even with, outside of having an Artemis bow as well.
Neither. Her next couple hits against CPU told me that was a lucky crit, but I'll take a lucky crit any day of the week.
Yeah, we were going over your play and just how efficient you were with your checks. One thing I was curious about was, you kind of cleared part of Moon. You found, the item to kind of draw you back to Earth. We were kind of wondering, were you going to go back down to Moon or hit up Fey March? And, did your last race play any into your routing decisions? Or you just kind of thought, well, I'll just check Fey March because of how easy the bosses were going to be for your team at that point?
Some of both. My last race, I got bit because there was a nice easy boss in Fey March, and that was in the back of my head. But I also thought, with the pan in hand, I might as well check these two since I'm already back down on Earth. It's right in the neighborhood. I'm not going to get another good chance to check these, and plus they are very doable with this team. I probably should have done them on my first dip because they weren't that bad, all things considered. But
yeah, if that had not worked out for you, would you have gone down to Giant at that point, or would you have gone back down to the Moon?
If the Baron Key didn't have Yang, next stop was Giant, 100%, because I know that's guaranteed go mode. If both spots were busts, then probably go to the moon, continue the top down that I had started, and see if I can scrounge up a pink tail somewhere.
Definitely a very fair plan. How were you feeling when you took that Zot rather early and got rewarded with both Edge and Fasoya?
That this is the best case scenario for me outside of a Yang being up here, and I am happy above all else. I knew it was very doable with Heroine Rosa and Power Zeus Cecil, even if he only has a Rune Axe. So I figured might as well charge up there after I get him online, and it paid off handsomely.
I did. I forgot about the fact that was where your first X-Cal came from as well.
So true, yeah. Getting that right afterward, for having 0 progression, that was probably the best case scenario in Zot.
Yeah, I was amazed at that. That was definitely the one-stop shop for no progress but full acceleration.
100%.
With that team at that point, what were you most scared of at that point of having that team?
Basically nothing.
Not even the darkness in the overworld?
Nah. I mean, the darkness, I might have even considered diving the moon with it, but with that party at those levels even. But yeah, there weren't very many things that would have been scary. Maybe a Dark Knight Cecil, because he'd mess up my plans for just burrowing everything down. Or a Valvalis possibly in a bad spot, but not too much. Not too much was very scary.
Yeah, so this win puts you at 2-2. Certainly your play is misleading of your record. I would have to say, this kind of puts you maybe in a favorable position. I'm not sure if you've had a chance or maybe looked ahead to see who your next opponents could be, if there's anyone you not want to face, or if that plays into your mindset at all.
I've been looking at all the pools, and there are so many terrifying players in all of them. Like, at the start of the tournament, I compiled a list of names of who do I not want to face in the first or second round, and there were 50 of them. So I just hope that I get a favorable matchup. I know that there's no free matchups, and I hope that I can keep playing as I have been playing. That said, I'm not very keen on playing Penguinator.
Oh, come on. I'm sure it's just a totally fine match for you.
Yeah, it'll be great as we do 1200 HP strats for the 3rd time.
Yeah, that I can imagine not wanting to go and play Penguinator. He is somewhat scary.
But same thing can be said about me and half a dozen other players in the 2-2 pool. So I just hope that I can keep playing as well as I have been.
Yeah, we have a lot of scary players. You are definitely high up on my scary player list as well. So GG's on your win today.
Thank you very much.
Do you have any final questions?
Other than just you feel, this kind of question comes from chat, but do you feel like your routing was where you wanted to be? You felt confident about your play? I mean, it certainly looked like it watching you. Were there any points where you were kind of hesitant of where to go next, or did you feel like you had a pretty good flow of what you wanted to do and how you wanted to execute it?
I had a pretty good feel for the most part. Early on, for the first, 50 minutes of the seed, everything was feeling great, everything was flowing, my decisions were working out for me, and I was very happy with my play. Once the check started to dry up, I was at the 9 key items, I got a little less comfortable, but the route that I chose, I'm very happy with. Even part of that is hindsight that it paid off, and part of it is just, I think in the moment it was a good play to make.
Yeah, any final thoughts before, we do let you go?
Not particularly. It was a fun seed. Thank you, Esco, for rolling it, and thanks to all of you here on the commentary crew, Baka and Lady In. I look forward to listening to the comms, Mega on the tracking. It should be a great watch back, and of course, GG's to Rexx. I'm sorry to have eliminated him, but no mercy.
It certainly showed in your playstyle. You had minimal mercy for anything. And thank you as well. Thank you and Rexx for going and putting on this show for us, as we wouldn't be able to put a show on without you racers.
Of course, anytime. But y'all have a good rest of the night.
Thank you. You too as well. GG's again on your victory.
Thank you.
Okay, well, that was xPankraz. GG's to him on his win. As we were talking with Pankraz, Rexx Raul has finished up his egg grind, set with his levels, going to be heading into his Z fight now.
And just once again, let's go and give a shout out to our runners, Rexx Raul and Pankraz, for being great runners. Rexx, unfortunately, did not go and have... Pankraz is a very scary player, as I'm sure we've seen today. He is a very, very scary person to go against, very efficient in all of his tracks, and Rexx is a long-standing good runner of the community. He just did not go and have things work out. That early Earth treasury just let Pankraz accelerate incredibly hard, and Pankraz just mercifully left no weakness for Rexx to go and try and catch back up on.
Yeah, and that's something that, you know, if you get kind of power overwhelming, you might be tempted to just kind of just rest on your laurels and say, okay, well, I've got the power, I don't need to micromanage as much. But you know, even if they were to have gotten at the same time, Pankraz just still managed the game just so efficiently that, you know, it was hard to imagine a part where they would have really fallen behind outside of a busted check.
Yeah, I don't think Pankraz took a single wipe that seed, didn't go and have any real slow fights that he was going to try and just inching through or whatnot that Rexx could come back to at a later point and blow through. There is stiff competition in Free Enterprise right now. We've had a lot of tournaments, and each tournament gets harder and harder to go and say who is, definitely top 16. It is so hard right now looking at this to say, oh yeah, this person will definitely be in the top 16.
Yeah,
the field is scary.
Absolutely. It is, absolutely. I mean, if you're a runner, it's, you know, there's just so many good racers. It's unbelievable that you really almost can't kind of pay attention to the record, just because, you know, everyone's up their game, from highway to the 3-miss zone, you know, long-standing members of the community. You know, like you said, Rexx Raul, I mean, he's played a phenomenal race. I mean, he really has not had really any times where you said, oh, you know, this really wasn't the right play to make, or he's spending too much time on this. I mean, you pointed out the treasury, you know, getting to that late, or, you know, just going to Zot maybe a little bit late. Those are the two kind of things you could point to. Other than that, you know, there may be just some menu things, or just the way Pankraz handles certain fights as opposed to Rexx, but Rexx has played this extremely well. That's, again, we cannot take away anything from his play.
Yes, Rexx is by no means a bad player. Rexx is a definitely good player. It's just Pankraz has showed very well and got paid out very nicely in a lot of those things. Early Artie arrows from the Eblin Castle check and a lucky crit as well just gave Pankraz a lot of time early on that he could just keep laying on and just keep pushing the advantage of. And Pankraz brutally really looked at any point where he could go and lose time and cut that out. Just blocked Rexx on any front where he could go. If there was something that Rexx could go and use to catch up, Pankraz was very aggressively going and trying to prevent Rexx from having that. And that is just a scary thing to go against.
Yeah, and it just goes to show the pull, you know, even just the margins are just so slim between, you know, someone who has 1 win or 2 wins, you know, and just not to mention the fact, you know, being that this was an elimination match for both runners to perform as well as they did too, also speaks to, you know, their credit as, you know, as just high quality racers.
Yeah, there is. again, there's a lot of high quality racers. If you want to go and join these racers or just play casually because this looks fun, feel free to join us on his Discord. Racing is not the only way to go and play free enterprise. You can go and roll a lot of seeds of your own. I never planned on getting into racing, but I did so after I played a bunch of my seeds and decided, how I'm playing them isn't as interesting. Let's get into races to see if I can find some more interesting ways of playing them. And things that Pankraz and Rexx have shown up all seed are all things that you can learn racing or just playing on your own.
Yeah, and I know we have several members of the community that have never even played Final Fantasy IV before getting into this randomizer. But the combination of the accessibility of the randomizer, and really, it's a big shout out to the community. I mean, the community is just so welcoming, so amazing, so helpful. I think I would have to say that's a big reason why most people decide to join the community, just because of how accessible they are and just how amazing everyone is. And any questions you have, they answer. I can't speak to it enough.
I agree. The community is definitely very willing to help out anyone who's gone and come to the Discord and see that asking questions in our newbies channel is always getting helpful answers, always people working to explain things, because we mostly just all like this game a lot. We like to go and share it, and we want people to go and enjoy it. And the more we can share and enjoy it, the more we'd like to go and see others enjoy it. But we have Rexx enjoying the victory over Mark Smith, finishing with an official time of 1 hour, 31 minutes, and 57 seconds. GG's to Rexx, and I believe we're joined by Rexx now.
Hello.
Hello, Rexx. GG's on that race. That was... You had a very stiff opponent. I am sorry that you had to face them.
Yeah, that's I mean, it really goes to show you the strength of the competition in this event. It's been really wonderful. I had 3 weeks in a row where I had really tough opponents. In week 2, I faced PK4787, who everybody knows is great. This week I faced Pankraz, who everybody knows is great. And last week I faced Araya, who I think is going to be a big name before too long in racing too. So, yeah, it's been a blur. I'll say that.
Yeah, that is a lot of... I'm glad I didn't have to face. Granted, I'm not in this tournament, so it's one reason why you guys managed to avoid it. But, yeah, there's... Looking back at your race, there's few things that we can go and say, oh, this is like... There's nothing we can point to that was a mistake from your side. It's mostly things we can point out as there was an advantage for Pankraz, where Pankraz looted Evelyn Castle, got an archer bow, and Artemis arrows, and a power shirt, which let them get through that Demas faster. And then after that Demas, they checked it quicker and found the treasury, looted that, and went to that Zop more aggressively than you did, which is a big place where they picked up some early time, it seemed. But with that was... How are you feeling about that early game? Because I wouldn't want it.
I mean, that's the thing. Like, Evelyn can either be... It's boom bust. And this time it was boom. So you get that power shirt, you get those arty arrows early. That's really good. I mean, I ended up with a vampire and a defense sword from looting the Watery Pass. And then I had that vampire, and that really helped on the Demas fight, but it wasn't enough to one-shot it. And then the black sword that Cecil came equipped with made it so that it wasn't that bad. But yeah, I can see how it could have gone faster another way. But then well, first of all, I didn't check Demas right away, but I had that, like, in my mind, I was holding on to that defense sword. And so I wanted to get ready to do that Mount Ordeals as quickly as possible. So I wanted to get a few more levels on Rosa and Quorum. So I did the Fabul defense, and then I went to Ordeals, and Ordeals ended up being quite easy anyways. So I probably could have done that earlier, but I didn't know that at the time, and I didn't want to go up there and get smashed.
Yeah, the defense sword being guaranteed value, and plenty of times you can go for deals and surprise Wyvern, surprise Golbez, surprise. Right. Yes, I can.
Well, I knew it wasn't going to be Golbez that time.
Oh, but... right. But any of the other half dozen bosses who are more than willing to go and push you back down that mountain fiercely and strongly.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, you seem to have the right mindset, and I hope you do. Like I said, you face some really stiff competition. Even comparing your finish times with the racers you mentioned, you've just kind of run into some buzzsaws, unfortunately. Like my co-commentators mentioned, you routed extremely well. You made very logical choices. You did everything the right way. It's just you kind of ran into some unfortunate luck, with just the opponents and just the way things went. So I mean, I guess just how are you feeling overall from this?
I mean, it's never great to lose, but if I'm going to lose, I'd like to lose to people that I know who are good in this as well. And I feel like all three of my losses were. So, it's hard to feel too bad about it. I knew I was a dog going into this when I was faced up against xPankraz. But, as it turns out, it ended up being a fast race. Like this was, as far as these flags go, this was pretty close to what we would call a jet seed. And I think, like, you've got more time to gamble when it's a longer seed if you have to full clear a whole lot of it. So I think this played to xPankraz's strengths more than mine as well. But, live and learn next time, right?
Did it change any of your routing decisions, knowing who you're going up against, or, knowing that you're, dare I say, like, an elimination match, or did you just still find, I'm going to play my game the way I want to?
Well, maybe a little, but not significantly. I made more of a mind of trying to make sure I was using what I had available to me, selling a whole lot of things. I bought that Earth Hammer for 30,000 in Toria. I think that's something that I normally wouldn't do. So anything to give me what kind of edge I could. I think for the most part I played my way, because the other thing is I don't want to get too far out of my comfort zone and doing something that I don't, and I'm in over my head because I'm doing something that I'm not prepped for either. So
definitely a wise move. I can definitely agree with that.
But I think the most interesting play was when we got that Darkness Crystal, I went up and I face-checked the character, saw it wasn't Yang, and I reset out of it. And my thought process was, at that point, I needed Yang and one of the other two objectives that were there, and just one key item on either of them. When it wasn't Yang, then there was a character check and/or two key items that I still needed to go, and I figured there was more chance that I'd be able to find at least part of it on the blue planet before going to the moon. So that's why I reset and did it. And it turned out you didn't need to do anything on the moon, so I'm glad I did that. So
yeah, the moon, I didn't catch all the spoilers. I saw that the pink tail was at the tower key location, but did not catch where the tower key was. So the moon may have had a value somewhere if there was a tower key somewhere up there, but it was definitely going to be slower than clearing out the Earth checks, which, that was...
And had that been Yang on the moon, I would have stayed on the moon. So I would have full cleared moon at that point. Might have even been a slower time.
Chat pointing out that tower key was at Helden, so...
Yeah, I don't know. I might have, but I don't know. That's a tough choice. Since it's pale dim, if I did top down, but I probably would have done bottom up. It might have taken. Yeah. I might have had to take a look at how many key items I had too. So at 9, I might do top down. I forget exactly how many I was at that point. I was pretty close to 10, but not quite there.
Yeah, I think xPankraz was at 9 when he went to the moon. But I think when you went to the moon, you hadn't done Luca Cave yet, so that
right.
Luca Cave gave the Twin Harp, so it would probably put you at 8.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Well, any final thoughts on your time in the tournament so far, or the seed itself?
Not really. It's just been a fun event overall. I really like this flag set. It's been really fun to run these flags. And so, yeah, like I might not be moving further to the next round or whatever, but, Swiss rounds, I've played in tournaments with Swiss before, and sometimes you pull some difficult opponents, and you got to live with that. And I'm cool. Maybe you'll see me in the booth more often. Who knows?
Sounds good, Rexx. Lady Yid, do you have any final questions?
No, I think you've answered everything. I just want to say, GG's, again, and just, yeah, good luck to you if you do decide to finish out the rest of this. I think, most of us share your sentiments. This is a great flag set to run, and it's certainly a lot of fun, and hopefully we'll, catch the remaining of your 2 races, coming up.
Yes, GG's to you, Rexx. Go ahead.
Yeah. Oh, just going to say thanks to everybody who's making this restream possible, and I'll see you sooner rather than later.
Sounds great. Have a great evening. And with that is the end of our race between Rexx Raul and FF4FE. FF4FE putting on a very dominating display, but Rexx showing he is no slouch. Go and give both these runners a follow. But that puts us at the end of our show. So thank you all for enjoying us. We'll be going and sending you over to Apex Corvette, who is playing some Lali-Ho League Swiss flags with the wacky flag attached from the April Fool. So if you don't know what that is and don't want to be spoiled, or just don't want to go and see all the different wacky flags that can come up from that, please feel free to go and step back and avoid the raid. But when you do, feel free to go to Apex Corvette, say hello. Do not spoil any results of this race, as we do not want to go, and some people may wish to be seeing the race results on their own, so just tell them it was a good one.
Yeah, and to answer anyone that wants to know, yes, we do have another race coming up at 9 p.m. on Randomadia, and then we have another one at 10 p.m. here on the flagship station. So yeah, check out Apex. Certainly tune in to the other 2 races we have coming up. Still have quite a bit of a night for you.
Indeed, and Free Enterprise is not done. And thank you again to our team who has gone and put the show on, Excorian and Mecha for restreaming and tracking, and thank you, Lady Id, for joining me in commentary.
Thank you for having me here, and thank you everyone for making this all possible. Another great race in the books.
Indeed. Have a great evening.